Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing?
Hi, sister. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. It's already Sunday. Wow.
It is already Sunday. Hey Jody, thanks for tuning in. We are glad to have you. And who is tuning in? Let us know that you're watching tonight, wherever you're watching. Um, like, follow, share, to subscribe. Make sure you tell folks that on Sunday evenings we go live with Hey Sister. You can certainly catch us in the replay on YouTube or Facebook, but join the conversation in the comments. Oh, well, you girl, hey. Jody says, Christina, that hair girl is looking good. What?
Nice. Thanks, Miss Jody.
Them curls are popping. So, hey, Deloria, welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. So, tonight, this is a hot topics night. We're going to get into some things that have been percolating up in the news, things that a couple things that we missed from last week. And,
Apparently.
huh?
Apparently.
Apparently, hey, sometimes we miss things, but one thing that we did not miss, but we certainly found out today, is that the One National Football League has signed and contracted for their Super Bowl halftime performance the one and only
YM.
USHERAYMOND. Hey, Usher Raymond is going to be performing at the Super Bowl halftime. What do you think about that?
I mean, listen. The only downside to it is that if he gets exposed to more people, those ticket prices are clearly not going to go down in Vegas. But other than that, it's a win-win for everyone. Albeit it's in Vegas, so the Super Bowl tickets are $1 billion, and his show is a gazillion. So, but I'm very excited. I know that the choreography will be on point. All of the just the all the things, all the theatrics of it all. It will be right where it needs to be at that Super Bowl level. But I'm thinking Americans, the white Americans are probably gonna get tired of y'all keep on putting on these shows. They say, okay, we gave you the little West Coast hip hop situation.
Uh-huh.
And we're like, okay, we let you have Rihanna and her baby.
Uh-huh.
I think they're ready to go back to the Who when we were there,
The Who when we were there in Miami. Yes.
which was so
Well, let me tell you something. One thing we know for sure is that Usher Raymond puts on a show.
absolutely.
And I was you and I we went live right after Rihanna's performance. So we definitely, if we could find our way to be in the building, we would love to be there. But who knows who playing, and I don't really care that much. And y'all know I still ain't watching the NFL. That's how my life's set up. So I know that Usher is going to entertain, and it is going to be fantastic. Now, Rihanna didn't bring out any special guests. It'll be interesting to see. I know we have someone ask, is Kiki gonna join him?
Right.
I don't know who he could possibly bring on as special guests. There's rumors that he and Alicia Keys are supposed to remake My Boo
Boo,
because
yeah.
it's 20 years already.
That started
Don't
on
even
you
get
and
me
Usher.
started.
You and my boo, yes.
Oh my my boo.
Yeah.
Listen,
I don't know if they were supposed. Is it a remake or is it supposed to be an updated version of
I
the
think
Boo?
they're supposed to update it.
We're
Yes.
gonna find out what happened with the Boo ishness, the Boo
Listen.
relation.
And I'm here for it because Usher.
I like to continue the story.
Mhm.
When he was confessing, he had to tell it all. And Confessions had three different versions.
Yes. Because everything I've been doing was all bad.
Yes, it was because he had to take on
Yes.
a kid and a ride. And so many things
Telling
that
so many lies. I mean,
yeah,
Usher has so many songs that people, I mean, I don't think Bad Girl probably not gonna make the Super Bowl performance, but
Not probably, but it could because it's Vegas. So
might could because it's Vegas, and let's see who he could bring out and dance with him on that.
Mike could have Brandy Evans, aka Mercedes, and Tiana Taylor, since we'll get to her.
Get at me, Bad Girls.
And supposedly, I think she helped choreograph.
I think Tiana did choreography for his show.
Yeah, so I mean, good. Not America would definitely lose their mind. By America, you know what I mean.
But you know, at this point, America has already lost its mind. So what's a little more losing?
Well, true, but you know, it's interesting because I mean, I'm sure you heard about the gentleman who died the other day at the football game, or maybe not, because I don't know. You're not. And so apparently, a fan, I think it was the Jets or Giants, one of the New York teams, I can't remember. Anyway, they got it into. Well, he might have been a Dolphins fan. I think it was a Dolphins game. Anyway, you know, our maybe our PA can find it for us. He got into this fight of some sort, and I guess he had a heart attack. I'm not sure, but anyway, and it was so sad, you know, hearing his wife, you know, like this is not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be family fun, and I'm like, I think football kind of stopped being family fun a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. NFL football, I think it kind of stopped that for a while ago. So, you know, but I'm here for it. And here's the thing, Usher has. I'm sorry to segue to that man that quickly. Sorry, sir. I'm not discounting him passing away at a game, but just speaking of about Usher and performance, I mean, Usher literally has songs with so many people. I could definitely see Lil Jon and Ludacris making appearances.
Because Usher, John, and Luda had to do it again. Hey,
I mean, and he was even up in the club with the Queen Bee. So who knows? Who knows?
I mean,
Absolutely.
It should be interesting. And yes, we are American culture.
Oh, absolutely.
All day, every day. Yes.
I'm just trying to find new words.
Yeah. Shorty, hey. Oh, there's so many songs.
And you know what? I'm sorry. Before I leave this, and I thought about the other day, because again, we never talked about the whole Tyrese and DJ Envy sitch. But I was like, where is the Tyrese on from what is My Way? The My Way video. Yeah, like we forgot that Tyrese was in the My Way video. I want that Tyrese to come on. Because
it's not happening.
This new fandangled version.
That's not happening. That is not happening. Well, let's talk about, you mentioned Tiana Taylor. So Splitsville. Listen. It's cold out in these streets. I thought this is the season we get into cuffing season, and all these people breaking up. And so Tiana Taylor, Iman Shumpert have made public that their separation, and that it's amicable, they still best friends, and they're gonna co-parent and do what they do best in that regard. You know, they seemed like they were like really tight. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this one. Because they were very clear, like there's not no infidelity. It's not, no, don't come up in here trying to bring no mess or stir no mess up in here, discord where there is none. It's just, we've grown. And it's very interesting because a lot of people, I mean, because they're still very young. Right. And so I think so many people embark into these relationships that are so significant and in the public eye at very young ages. It would be nice if people went back to those days where they kept some things to themselves. I don't know.
Well, so this is what's interesting to me. Obviously, I've never been married before, so I don't have a lot of answers. But there was this post that she posted, and it's her and Iman in their Wayne's World get up. And she says, not too much on my bestie. In all fairness, Iman and I are separated and have been for a while. To be 1,000% clear, infidelity ain't one of the reasons for our departure. We are still the best of friends, great business partners, and are one hell of a team when it comes to co-parenting our two beautiful children. Most importantly, we are family. And in the 10 years together, 7 years married, we ain't ever played with or about that. We just keep y'all out the group chat, LOL, which is the reason we've been able to successfully and peacefully separate without all of the outside noise. The only reason I'm even sharing this part of the chat is because the narratives are getting a little out of hand, which in my opinion kind of says that then some people were actually in the group chat. Mm-hmm. She said, and it's unfair to all parties involved. I hope this provided some clarity for y'all. Okay, Auntie, taking y'all back out of the chat. Bye. These kind of situations are very challenging for me because I'm always like, if we are that close, then what happens? I mean, because these are two people who, like you said, talk about, and from a compatibility standpoint, seem to be like each other's spirit animals, very compatible. So I'm just like, if we're best friends, your family, you do a great job co-parenting your kids, and it's not infidelity. I don't know how, like that. All of that sounds like ingredients for a successful marriage. So I'm not sure what.
But they're 32 and 33 respectively. I don't know who, but that's their ages. They'll both be 33 this year because one of them is turning 33 in December. Mm-hmm. So 10 years together, meaning that was at 23. 7 years married, so you're talking about 26. And I'm a person who did get married at 26, mm-hmm. but also I'm of a different generation, and we built a little different. So
again,
but what I do know for sure is who you are at 23 is not who you are at 33, and it's definitely not who you are at 43. Although the basics of who you are as a human being is the same, and a lot of your character the same, the things that you want, desire, need, what you're looking for in life and a life partner, if you are not moving in the same direction, then you are moving apart. And both of them are pursuing their careers. And you can't tell me, yes, 23-year-old and a 33-year-old are very different. And I would venture to say if they were getting married at 33, they're probably more of who they are have been more solidified. Because both of them are pursuing their careers. They're very out, and some of those career pursuits take them away from each other a lot. And that causes your growth to be separate and not together as a unit.
Well, that is what I wonder, if that's the crux of it, because I look at Corey and Tamara, which one? Tamara Mowry. Okay, and Corey Hardrick. And it feels like, I'm like, well, wait, all this time Corey really was working. Like, I mean, he was working, but he wouldn't like. And then I'm like, he get and is it the shot? Like, you get a reoccurring role on the shot. Now y'all breaking up. Iman, you ain't been playing ball for a few years. You get a reoccurring role on a shot. Y'all breaking up. I'm just like, is it that? As long as, particularly with a lot of these Hollywood relationships, and I will say, I've heard this alluded to about Samuel L. Jackson and his wife, that for a very long time she took a back seat while he was taking the lead in terms of growing his career. And now she's in a place from a Broadway standpoint, especially, where she's doing a lot more. But it's like, is it only successful if one person can be the star at one time, and like the other person has to kind of take a back seat? Because I don't know. All I'm saying is, all the stuff that they said, I'm like, aren't those the ingredients to make a good marriage?
Yes. I think they are good, the ingredients to make a good marriage. That doesn't mean that they won't get married again once they find out what's out here. As
in these streets.
Breesha Taylor is Breesha, not Taylor. Breesha
Rachel Webb
Webb. Breesha Webb said it's trash. Like there's,
to
you
breathe.
know,
She said there's syringes on the ground.
syringes on the ground, leaves and all kind of things, tumbleweeds rolling out here, paper and plastic bags. It's just trash out here in these streets, and maybe that will help. Time and space may help. We don't know, but there's another split that is happening in Hollywood. And I there's a couple comments here. Deloria said, I got married the first time at 23 and understand the growing apart. And so I think that it is not uncommon. Um and so hey, I wish them the best, and most importantly, I wish them the best in raising healthy, whole children. That's where it gets tricky. That's where it gets tough. And so this next situation with Joe Jonas and Sophie Turner, I think is Sophie's last name, right? Did I get that right? Let me know.
Sophie Nelson. No,
Sophie Turner. Joe Jonas
Turner.
and Sophie Turner.
Yes.
My girl from Game of Thrones.
Sophie Turner. Oh, is she from Game of Thrones?
Yeah, she's the big sister. So she grew up on, like, she has her own career. She's an actress, but also now let me find out their ages, because also young Sophie Turner is 27.
Ooh, and they got 2 kids already?
And they have 2 kids. And Joe is 34.
Okay.
So, and they have a 3-year-old and a 14-month-old. So this situation is a little more sketch, because I don't know. We obviously we don't have all of the details, because obviously we're not there. But I think one of the most troubling pieces is that he filed for divorce here, has the children here, while they actually were had a long-term lease, just signed a long-term lease earlier this year, was planning to set their life up in London.
Right.
And he has the kids and has the passport, and I guess the kids were on tour with him, and now he's filed for divorce, and she's suing right now, trying to get custody, or and trying to get her kids. That's dicey. And one thing we know for sure is they're 3 and 1.5 now, but they won't always be 3 and 1.5.
Right.
Those children.
Right.
They're going to read this stuff at some point. They're going to learn more about this. They're going to go to school, and somebody's going to tell them about their mom and their dad, and then they're going to get online and they're going to look. So I pray that, as we said, with Iman and Tiana, with Joe and Sophie, that they keep their children at the forefront of those decisions that they're making, and how they plan on navigating these splits, these separations. Because here's the thing: you with that person forever, whether you think you are or not. The old thing used to be, till they 18. That crap ain't true. Because if they go on and get married, have children, then you both, grandparents, like, this goes on for the duration of the life of your children and your life. So be wise, be thoughtful, be conscientious of what you do and what you say and what you file in court papers, because that record is there forever. That's my 2 cents. I don't know. What do you say, sister?
I just want to know why Taylor Swift took the girl out. Because that feels a little shady, boo.
It was Shady Boots. And she was saying, I support you, girl. Cause
But that ain't.
I broke up with him too, and I know how he is.
And I broke up with him and I wrote a song about him. But you made money off of it. Look at all of us who broke up with folks that ain't got nothing off of it. Like, come on. I'm just like,
Taylor was saying, I support you, I got you, I know him. I know his ways. Maybe.
and
I
if
don't
you,
know.
but if this your girl.
But I don't think she is.
Exactly. So
I don't know.
therefore,
I don't know. Let me say, I don't know.
it felt away. I mean, listen, it got a reaction out of people, and that's maybe what they wanted.
Hmm.
But I was just, and maybe they were just trying to throw something at him and say, catch this. But I just if these people are going through a tough situation like you described with these kids and with passports and living in separate countries and all of that stuff, granted, you can't go out, right? You're Taylor Swift and Sophie Turner. You can't go out without it causing a scene. But if you want to support sis and be like, hey, girl, come on over to the house. We gonna crack open a bottle of wine. Let's chit chat because I know where you're coming from. Even though I was never married to him, I have no kids with him. And actually, I just wrote a song and made a lot of money off of it. But I know what you're talking about. It just feels like how is going out with her in the midst of this situation gonna help her situation?
I don't know if it helps or, as you said, if it's just shady. There are, if you go down the rabbit hole and the searching rabbit hole, there's rumors about him cheating.
Mm-hmm.
There's rumors about him finding out. We have these cameras in our house and you can turn on the microphone and listen. As rumors of him finding out about her discontent and that she was gonna file for divorce by listening in the cameras. They got all kind of things out there if you go down the rabbit hole. All I'm
And
saying
then
is
this lady want to jump into it. Girl, let's go out.
she
I'm
went
with.
out because she like, girl, he cheated on you too. He cheated on me. I wrote a
They
whole
ain't
song
just
about it.
girl, you was 15 years old. Okay, maybe not 15, but still 17 years
Well, she
old.
33.
Right. And you know how many more people done cheated on her since then? She done wrote buku songs about folks.
Show did, girl. She got a lot. Anyway, we got a couple comments there. It says, some women love befriending exes, not me, but hey, some do. Um, if it was sincere, it should have been more discreet.
That's all I'm saying. That it really felt a little bit like y'all trying to throw something in his face enough for the right lawyer to be like, let's see how we can use this, shall we?
Yeah. Listen, all I know is this, is that your children are watching. Even
Mhm.
though they may not have the cognitive ability and function as of today, they will. Because even with that, the Kardashian West brood of children, they're watching.
Oh yeah, you heard that she supposedly went. I mean, they're hanging out, her and Odell Beckham Jr. But then,
The children are watching. And hopefully you have great money for therapy for them to support them as they start going and growing and having questions about life and relationships.
yeah.
But they're
Well, that was
watching.
interesting that because Jessica Simpson was just saying something about that recently, saying how her children have discovered those old episodes of her when she was married to Nick Lachey, and the whole chicken of the sea, the tuna is this chicken or tuna thing, and they were like, "Who is this man?" You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's like, well, mommy was married before daddy, kind of before I was married to dad and all this stuff. So it's interesting how these things can come back up. And
Mhm.
yes,
It's there forever.
yeah, and Kanye has with this new wife that he have, it's been some
He got a
very
wife? He got a whole wife? Because I mean, he done had so many in betweens.
yeah, it's a but I heard him say wife, but I don't know. It could be, yeah, I thought so. But anyway, there were some salacious pictures of them recently, and yeah, just not Bianca Sensori, but wife is in quotes on a few of these things. So I don't know, child, if wife mean wife or wife mean suggestion. I don't know.
Well, let's say this. I can't remember what my husband three C's are, but he gotta tell me. I can't remember. But one of them is contract.
All right.
If you don't have a contract, then you can say who you are, you can be who you want to be. If you don't have a contract, if you can't go into the doctor's office or go into the hospital, you ain't got no contract.
Well, like they do on the View, our notes are we've just got a note that says another thing about the kids too is that Sophie tried to keep their faces out of the paparazzi eye. Then as soon as he filed for divorce, he was out with the kids with their faces out. And also about Bianca and Kanye in Italy, they were seen being indecent in public to say the least. And yes, that's it. It was not becoming of somebody's parents when you can find all this stuff on the internet. So
Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh,
moving
okay.
right along.
Moving right along. There's always some food. Okay, now this my sister want to talk about this. Now we recently saw this beautiful young lady who we have to find her and post it. She is on Instagram. I don't know. She looks like she's all of 8 or 9 years old. I don't know. But she
Right.
was doing a whole Color Purple reenactment. Hilarious because she
You know
nailed
this
it.
she nailed it. The dinner
Um
scene at the end, towards the end.
and um And so we were talking about the color purple as we are preparing for the pre-show. Now I'm gonna let you go ahead and take the lead on this one because I
I'm
just
just asking the question, do we need another color purple? I mean,
yes.
okay. Hey, listen, we have seen it in the movie theater. We have seen it on Broadway. We have seen it uh, at home. I mean, many of us, the first time it was traumatizing. Since then, it has you can find some very funny pieces in it that maybe you missed before.
Oh, honey, I've been finding the funny pieces for years now, honey.
Well, yes, my favorite was when he was so what's she gonna do? Sweep out the caboose.
Boosh.
I don't know why that was so funny to me, but it is. Anyway, but
Don't call me Squeak. My name is Mary Agnes. Mary who? I don't care what your name is, girl. Don't get me started on the color purple now. We
which is
all
why it begs the question: do we need another? Like, are we going to get?
Now you and I, we went to see the Broadway.
Yes,
Obviously it was a book by Alice Walker. Then it
yes,
became a movie.
Steven
Kind of
Spielberg.
launched
Yep,
at the that was like really Oprah's kind of first coming out in acting.
yes,
Whoopi Goldberg,
yes.
um, Danny Glover, and many, many more. Steven Spielberg, Quincy Jones, like
Mhm,
yes. And so then they came with the Broadway show, and the Broadway show was a musical. Right.
mhm,
And so now this movie that is coming out in December, and yes, I will be in the theater to see it. And if COVID is running around like it is now, I'm gonna have my mask on and my blanket and everything. And I'm gonna be
mhm.
in there. I did go get my shot, my new vaccine.
Okay.
FYI. I'm going to see it because we enjoyed the musical because there was original song in the musical by Fantasia. I am here. Absolutely love that song. And
Mhm.
I want to see Fantasia and Danielle Brooks and um oh my gosh, let's see my girl name. Oh,
Who? What role is
our
she playing?
girl, what's her name? Went to Howard. What's her name?
Taraji P Henson.
Taraji P.
Mhm.
Henson. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. I want
Well,
to see
that's what I
all
was
of them. All of
asking.
them.
No, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, look, the cast is phenomenal. We saw it on Broadway. Yes, I get that it's a musical movie, albeit sometimes musical movies, I'd be like, okay,
They did it with Dreamgirls.
the move they did. So again, did you have to have another one? I'm not saying I'm not saying yes or no. I mean, look, The Wiz is coming back on Broadway again because I guess somebody finally realized like black people like The Wiz and what have you. Um, so I'm not saying that there's not a place for things. And obviously Oprah is in a very different situation now than she was when she started in The Color Purple. And yes, it does open the door for a new generation to embrace these characters that we've come to love or despise as a result of what we saw when we were very young. But at the same time, they're just sometimes you just wonder if we should touch classics. That's all I'm saying.
So the original movie came out in 1985. So it's almost 40 years later. I say yes.
I
Let's do
mean,
it.
because they did West Side Story again, and I don't know if it needed it. I don't know. I mean, would you, if they said we're going to do The Godfather again, would you be like, yeah, it's time?
So a little different in that the format has changed, right? So it was a drama that went to a Broadway musical, and now they're doing a movie of the musical. This is more akin to Hairspray to me,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
You
fair
see what I
enough.
mean?
But Hairspray also was
Hairspray was a Broadway play that they made it was a Broadway
movie.
musical that they made a movie based on the musical, and then they went back to Broadway based on that movie. Like so, and they did an update of the movie with Queen
Movie.
Latifah. So it kind of had cycle iterations with that. Um, yeah.
I
So
don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just it's uh and thank you. We've got a note from our
production assistant.
production assistant that says West Side Story was needed because they needed actual representation, like no white people in brown face. And I get that. That is absolutely correct. This is not one of those instances, and so it's not like we're correcting the narrative or anything like that. But I just as long as it enhances what has already been done and just doesn't dilute it. That's my hope. Okay, moving on.
Moving right along, moving right along. So interestingly enough, and y'all know we do Sunday school with our family and church members back in our hometown. We started it during the pandemic and we've
Yes.
kept it going. So we meet every Sunday via Zoom. And it was interesting because in the introduction of that Sunday school, and I got my book right here because I got to read this to y'all because this was like so on point in the introduction of the lesson. It says history seems to go in cycles. It is often said that the one thing man learns from history is that he does not learn from history. Here we go again. So, history. There are a lot of labor strikes going on right now in our country. We recently heard that the Writers Guild of America is they're making more progress in their strike, and so we'll see where that lands. The United Auto Workers recently went on strike again, and the Screen Actor Guild is still on strike. The UPS workers, they avoided their strike and their negotiations. So labor is definitely having a movement. And I think that when we talk about the economy and economic headwinds and pay equity, and we talk about workers pay and CEO pay and all the number of things that kind of go on, and living wages and all the things that are kind of rolled up and mixed into why people then choose as a labor force to say, no, we're going to go on strike because we want to fight and demand these whether it's better wages, better working conditions, and the like. uh this seems to just creep up every so often, and it is like wash, rinse, repeat. When corporations, capitalists run amok and continue to oppress and suppress, people say, we can't take it no more. And it seems like we're at another one of those inflection points. And not just in this country, because really, if you look at the global conditions and what's happening globally, there's a lot of stress in the system, and it comes to the conflict or the tension between corporations and the labor force. So I don't know. What say you? What do you think about the strikes that are currently going on, and how it is not just of impacting, what we see on TV, but how is it really impacting our global economy and just our standard of living?
I think, we always talk about, our dad says there's no simple solutions to complex problems. And I think labor, wages, pay equity, all of these things at their heart they're rooted in capitalism. And there is no simple solution to how do you maintain a capitalist society, but then there's understanding that there is no equity in capitalism. So it's almost like an oxymoron. We want pay equity, but we are in a system that rewards you for not being equal. So I don't know. Again, I was telling you how Yvette Nicole Brown, the actress, posted this video, and it was about poverty and people working multiple jobs and trying to make ends meet, and just the debate in the comments. And it just made me ask myself, do we really want to solve the issue of poverty? Do we want to solve this issue of, everybody should be able to make a livable wage? And sometimes it doesn't feel like it to me. I just feel like nobody wants to be poor, but they don't necessarily want to solve the issue of poverty. Because at the heart of it, I applaud strikers. I applaud those who say enough is enough. Does not make sense to me. I need to strike, right? I applaud that. And I remember years ago when I did work for the Walt Disney Company, that there was a strike of the sanitation workers, right? And in that time, I remember, like, they were outside picketing and what have you. And I'm definitely like support. But there are no barriers for companies to then say, okay, well, we'll meet your demands without, I'm just going to raise my prices on the other side. Mm-hmm. Like there's nothing that requires. So hence we're in this place, this inflation that we sit at in our society, where people are like, I can't afford, like $100 worth of groceries is like eggs and milk and bread. And it's just a few things. And yet that's the thing, you go on strike, because there were some grocery store chain employees who had gone on strike as well earlier this year. Like you said, the UAW with vehicles, it makes the cost of the vehicle more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, do we ever solve the problem when capitalism suggests that I am supposed to get as much as I can out of this system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, we have a comment there. It says labor popularity has increased since COVID and getting stronger. And I do believe that a lot of this is born out of COVID because a lot of those people who were frontline workers, who were deemed essential workers and still had to work while others didn't, um, were like, no, you know, I think a lot of this is born out of that. I think what we have seen, I think a lot of the inflation that's in our system. So yes, we have these inflationary issues, but a lot of it is that corporations are trying to redeem what they lost or what they
But they've
perceive.
gotten that. That's the thing. They've gotten
Yeah, they've gotten it
it
back in spades.
in
They've gotten it back in spades. And but to your point, there is no stopgap on the other side. Like
right
there is nothing that says, okay, well the CEO makes 400 times more than the average worker.
worker. Like,
And
why, yeah, why is there not something like? Yeah, I mean, I know why. Again, it's because we live in a capitalistic society. But it's like 400 times more, like 20 times more ain't
and
enough.
maybe
Like,
it's not 400. Let me
well,
look it up so I could
well,
get it
whatever it
correct.
is, I know that again with Bob Iger, for example, I think it was like $75,000 or something a day. Well, you have people who work there who make $75,000 in 365 days in a
Yes.
year, and
Oh,
so
I was right. It's 300, yeah, it's 398.8 times the average worker.
400 times more than the average worker, and it becomes a question of, so is 10 times more not enough? Is 20 times more not enough? You know, I, of course, we know my situation with my recent employment, and I'm just like, I understand why what happened to my group happened to my group, because again, when you're making certain business decisions, you're like, okay, if we're going in this direction, this group is over here, we can eliminate that group so we can go get further down in this direction. But I look at the issue in aggregate, and again, I just feel like no one wants to solve for poverty. No one wants to solve for inequities in labor. No one wants to really solve for these inflated CEO salaries. They just want to be the CEO. They want to be the beneficiaries. They just don't want, you know, we don't really want to solve for it. We want to be the beneficiary, which is why a lot of people, they play the lottery. They, you know, they betting hoping against hope, because we want to be wealthy, but we don't want to solve for the deeper issues, which say that a CEO, I don't care how much you do, you're not working 400 times harder. I'm sorry.
No. And actually, this article we just dropped in here says that since the 78, I think it is, since 1978, CEO pay has skyrocketed 1400, 1468%. So 1468%.
Right.
Another
And
comment.
then but we've seen that wages have stayed relatively
Been
stagnant.
stagnant. They've started to go up after they started to go up because there was so much pressure in the system that they had to go up. But again, I know, I know CEOs, vice presidents, people in executive positions, they get paid to have a lot of headache, right?
They
They
do.
they get paid for the stress, right? However, I don't believe that their stress is 400 times more than the average worker. They I guess you get paid for a certain level of skill set and savvy, but the way some of these CEOs have been running corporations into the ground, and then they sell them off, or then they get they get stock options and these paid,
Golden parachutes and all of these
millions of
other
dollars
things.
to leave, and they recycle the same CEOs and they do the same trash everywhere. It's kind of like NFL head coaches, and you've been trashed everywhere you've gone. So I, I, I don't understand it. I don't understand it.
No,
And
you
so
do
that whole thing
understand
about
it.
meritocracy and whatever.
But you do understand it. It's just like the young lady just said, the system is designed to stay inequitable. It's there's only a handful of people that we want to allow to have a seat at the table. To your point, it's the same CEOs that are being recycled across the board.
Hmm.
And yet, I'm sorry, let me keep messing up.
Ha.
I get fired
Hmm.
and fired. But I see a repetitive failing forward. It's like, oh, I just jacked up this company, but that's okay. I'm gonna go be the CEO over here, double my pay, and the track record that I had over there doesn't even matter anymore.
Hmm.
Just a whole bunch of failing forward, and quite frankly, we look at the vast majority of CEOs in this country are white men. I think what we said, there's no longer any black women CEOs or in the, or what have you in right now. So it
Of
begs the
major
question.
corporation, because Rosalind Brewer stepped down from her
Right.
position at Walgreens.
Right.
Yes.
So it begs to question. So how often can you mess up and still get paid millions upon millions of dollars, but you have these employees who are striking on a regular basis to make ends meet, to get the basic needs met, like
Hmm.
not extravagant lifestyles,
Yeah.
basic needs. Because, like when you talked about the UPS thing, the fact that it's 12 million degrees outside and you have people driving in trucks that have no AC, it just becomes like, and the labor of it all, lifting and going back and forth and all that stuff, the wear and tear on your body. And you mean to tell me, like, we got to get to the point that it's like you just don't know to do the right thing even though you're getting paid 400 times more.
Hmm.
That just feels problematic for me. But again, the system is designed to be inequitable, because if it were equitable, then there would not be haves and have nots.
Yeah, and so her salary, it says, was about 1.5 million. This is the CEO at UPS. She brought in a nearly 19 million in total compensation last year, and that was in 2022. And so, and then now drivers are going to be receiving an average salary of 170,000, which is, yeah, it's great for the drivers. But when you when you compare those numbers together, you like, how, Sway?
Well, like you said, it's like NFL players versus the owners. People who are quick to say they need not complain, they need to just chill out. Look how much money they get paid. He gets $20 million just to run up and down the field or whatever. And it's like, it's more than just them running up and down the field. But you can best believe if he gets paid 20 million, the owner gets paid how much more than that in order to afford the 20 million. So
Whew, child. Well, like we said up front, there are no simple solutions to complex problems. This is history repeating itself, and unless we do, and I know some people like, oh, well, they take care of this in their philanthropy and their charity. We cannot. The issue of poverty will not be solved through philanthropy. So we have it's solved through policy
right.
and policy decisions. So that's where the politics come in, and being engaged and civically involved, and voting for people who care about the issue and understand the complexity and the nuances of it. It is in uh in our taxes. So that's also comes down to policy and how we tax, and do we tax fairly. All of
Sure.
the policy decisions have a truer impact
Right.
on whether or not we're going to find ourselves here again in another year with another major group. Because I'll tell you, if this UAW group stay out long, it's going to be some pain in the system. And
Well,
speaking of pain in the system,
before you before you go up over to that, yeah. So the other thing is, a lot of times when we talk about the actors striking and writers striking, people think of their biggest celebrity movie star fan ever. And it's like that's not the vast majority of people that are being impacted. And you have all of the um tertiary and secondary industries. But then on top of that, I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but y'all turn on Tubi, turn on any people who black famous to us, they're black famous. They're not famous famous. So they're not making just money hand over a fist. And that's the attitude that a lot of people have. Like, why are they striking when it's just a bunch of greedy people? It is like, it's not. It's people trying to feed their family and doing what they love.
yeah, but most actors make the average actor's pay maybe 50.
I think, yeah,
All
something
right,
like
I
50.
think it might be $50,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's people who is booking work consistently,
Right.
and I think Viola Davis said it's like 0.01% make more than $50,000 a year. or,
Right.
or it's very, very small numbers. So but again, do we want to solve the problem, or do we just want to be entertained?
Right.
That's another conversation right there. Well, let's go on to this government shutdown. So talk about more pain. Here we go again. I just read the quote about history. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to do another what they do all the time. I think the Republican-led House is going to do. They either going to do another continuing resolution to continue the government through the end of the year, and then they're going to kick that can down the road. Um, I think that is probably what they're setting themselves up to do, or they're going to get on the floor and say, "Hey, we don't want this Kevin McCarthy to be Speaker of the House anymore." It's going to be one or two of them things that's about to be set up, and it's really just it's exhausting because, and I think for me the biggest exhaustion point is, and I'm hoping we can get a civics teacher on here.
Yeah.
If y'all know a civics teacher, please tell them. We want
Yeah.
them on Hey Sister.
Do they still teach the civics?
Because people don't even understand. Because they were, well, what the president doing? What the vice president doing? They don't make the policy. They don't do these bills and legislation. They don't approve or establish the budget. That is not their role. Now they can
Right.
give input, they can give suggestions, they can say this is what we'd like to see. But we have a totally dysfunctional, and it started, and I remember when we had Mike on when we were in the pandemic, and he said it started during that damn Newt Gingrich time. The dysfunction,
Mhm.
the serious dysfunction. That's when it started. And I've heard that repeated by Nancy Pelosi. Now, hey, maybe she has Democratic leanings or whatever. But based on my observations in my lifetime, that is where it started. Because even when there were people like, I think of John Boehner, who actually wanted to try to do the right thing. From time to time, yes, he was deeply entrenched in his party, but I think at the end of the day, he would make decisions where it was country over party. That's just not who we set up with right now.
No, we're not. And so, oh, it's so
And the
disturbing.
Senate can pass its budget, and the Senate can
Right.
the Senate can put its part forward. But like I'm just a bill. It has to come. Both houses have to come together. The House of Representatives put forth its budget. The Senate put forth thing. They manage it, and then boom, we have a budget for the United States of America.
I'm just curious, and I don't know what your thoughts are here. I'm just trying to figure out what is the end game, because is it to oust Kevin McCarthy? I don't get it, because it's like, here we go again. What y'all acting a fool?
What you want, Sway? What do you want?
I'm not. My heart don't bleed for Kevin McCarthy, but it's like y'all literally had this man nominate himself, or had people nominating him for 14, 15 rounds before you said yes. He made whatever concessions he was going to make for y'all and with y'all. And now y'all now backdooring and behind the scenes. And it's like, so why did you even make him their speaker then? Why didn't y'all just vote for a Democrat and call it a day? Mm-hmm. It's really out of hand at this point. And my problem with it is, going back to the conversation about strikes, there are people behind these numbers. We just hear, oh, government shutdown will impact X number of thousands of government employees. There are people behind those numbers.
Not just people. I mean, you have TSA.
That's
travel
people.
every dang on day.
That's people.
Yeah.
There are people behind these numbers. There are people who lose their jobs. There are people who are impacted when services are cut. There are people who, if I'm having a bad day and I'm trying to hurry up and get home and I can't get through TSA because they only got one lane open, and they have, it's all of these things. And it's so frustrating, because it's like, when did we become so callous that we just do not care? In our government, we just do not care about people who don't have the same beliefs and opinions of us.
Yeah.
And maybe that's always been the case. But to your point, at least in the past, not all the past. Now we know, come on, I mean, like, we know this country, so I'm not even about to act like it's all
please. Please.
But even our dad, alludes to times where you had senators and representatives who might have disagreed, but they would go and hash it out later.
Yes. But even when you think back, so we both watched the documentary on Benjamin Franklin on PBS, y'all. I love PBS.
I didn't watch it.
Oh, no, you didn't watch it? Okay, well, I watched it. And that people made compromises. Now, some of them were shitty compromises to set this place up. And they had hope that it would then be rectified. But we're at a point now where people don't even make compromise. And not only do they not make compromise, it is a lack of intellectual heft that is present. And that didn't used to be the case. Actually, you kind of had to know a couple things, or had done a couple things in your life to even have a seat in the building, right? And we don't have that anymore, because we have this fallacy that, oh, they're a businessman, right? And business and government are not the same. Right. Their objectives are not the same. The goals are not the same. And so here we are, where it's like, we want to run the government like a business. Yeah, but when there's a hurricane and the insurance companies stop covering and drop people, because that's what businesses do, because they attend to their bottom line, we look into the government.
Right.
And so I just think that this democracy, this country, and all democracies around the world are in a precarious situation right now, because once again, we're not thinking about people.
We are not. All right. So democracy is built on compromise. Oh, wait. We have two-party system has proved to be flawed. However, it helps soften the extremes of the political system. Nowadays, political extremes have been infiltrating the parties and moving them farther away from moderate on the spectrum. Democracy is built on compromise. However, a lot of the compromises are cases of kicking the can down the road.
Right.
I would say that like you said, there's a so we talked before about our term limits, and I was like, I would like to be cautious about age limits because sometimes age, that can be a dicey conversation.
Yes.
But
Because Marjorie
while
Taylor Greene is young and she dumb as a box of rocks.
exactly, and so is Lauren Boebert, and so is Matt, whatever his last name, Gates, and that's where I was
they
going here.
soulless. They are, based on my observations, based on what I have heard them say. So I definitely, age is not the limit, but they definitely need to be term limits.
Well, yes, they do need to be term limits, but that's why I was gonna say what bothers me with those folks is they are not in, they don't have a desire to learn or be intellectually curious. They only have the desire to be in power, and they are dangerous people. And so, as much as I don't care for a Mitch McConnell, at very least, I believe he understands how policy works. Now, he's proven himself to be a bit crappy in how he behaves, but I think he fundamentally understands how it works.
Yeah.
Now he's chosen to make some choices and decisions that's not cool at all. But at the same time, I don't even think that they know how it works. And on top of that, they don't care about people. That's all that is my problem.
And I think, like you said, for they might know how it works and still choose not to care because it is all about a pursuit of power. And it's about a pursuit of information that allows them to pursue that capitalistic dream, as you talked about earlier, because you don't go into the Congress a millionaire, but they all come out millionaires.
Indeed.
So with that,
our
hour has expired. And so we want to thank you all for tuning in to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. I don't know where you are, production assistant, but can you take that that banner down and let people know where they can follow us? And we want you to like, follow, share, subscribe, and join us again. Deloria, we're going to have you come on. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Yeah. We'll love to have you come on and really talk about DEI in the workplace and what you're seeing and witnessing, because some of the things that I'm seeing and witnessing and some of my coaching conversations is very interesting. So we would love to have you on to talk about that.
I mean, and sooner rather than later, because let me just say, I'm sitting up here like, did we all quit DEI? The company said they put up their black squares in 2020. They was like, we done. We've solved it. They gave a few of them gave us Juneteenth, child. And they like, it's done. We're solved. And so sooner rather than later, I'd love to have that conversation.
Yes. Well, I'll be talking about giving my 2 cents at the Grace Hopper celebration on Wednesday on that topic and about creating equity, inclusion, belonging, and acceptance. But with that, we signing off. So good night, everybody.
Good night.